Welcome to Pay Attention, a podcast guiding you from the chaos of the mind to the clarity of the heart. Here's your host, Holly McNeill.
Hello and welcome. We are having technical difficulties this morning, so I'm actually coming to you live on my phone right now. But I'm going to take a deep breath and thank you so much for coming. So I have been on this journey, as you know, and from clarity and habitual reactivity to awareness. And I really started in the spiritual realm. And we've been so I'm working on kind of building a bridge from that chaos, from that habitual reactivity, all the way to clarity. And we've been on the end of clarity, that end of the bridge. We had an episode on lucid dreaming. Last week, we had Cheyenne as a guest host with Margaret Ard-Canigan talking about those people that have those experiences where you just awaken and what that can mean for you. We're going to go back to a few things on lucid dreaming, but before that, I have a lovely guest who's a licensed clinical social worker, but more excitingly, the spoken word poet, Robby. Thank you for your patience this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes. And so while we play this lovely, we were in studio. We met over a year ago. You'll hear all about it in the recording. But while we play this recording, I'm going to try to get on my computer, which probably just, of course, timely just opened up. But we are going to be here live, and Robby is going to start out with a wonderful poem. We're so excited. And at the end, so if you have any comments or questions, please put it in the chat, and we will get back to you at the end. So Robby, welcome. Sit back, and at the end, I am going to ask you about that hat.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, everyone, enjoy.
Dear universe, or whatever part of you that's listening, I'm sorry for the times I've walked through this world with my eyes half shut, footsteps stomped in anger. For the moments I mistook my heartbeat for background noise while hurling words into the abyss without wondering where they'd land. For every instance I turned my skin into an armor instead of a welcome sign. My throat, a stone skipping across the surface of connections to be dived into. Dear universe, I'm sorry for the words that left my mouth like stray bullets, not seeing who they might wound. For the silences I let stretch until they snapped, heavy and hollow as a church with no believers. I'm sorry for the apologies that never left my tongue, for the love I held back, rationed like fading summer nights, not realizing sooner that love, like sunlight, multiplies when shared. Dear universe, I am reaching out to you, to the fragments of us scattered in the wake of my stumbling steps. I'm planting my sorries in the soil, watering them with what's left of my pride, hoping they'll bloom into awkward, misshapen redemption. Let these seeds bridge the canyons I carved out in carelessness, and someday sprout into something resembling forgiveness. I'm sketching out apologies on the canvas of tomorrow, learning, unlearning, relearning how to be human, to see the divinity in the cracks and the crevices, to understand that every mistake is just a misstep in the dance of living, and every apology a stumble back in time to when the music first grew dissonant. Dear universe, I'm sorry for thinking I was just a drop in your vastness, for not seeing that even drops can ripple, can make waves, can change the course of oceans. I just lost my color as a backdrop in your canvas, not seeing that I'm also the brushstroke, the shadow, and the light. Dear universe, I'm sorry for dimming my own brilliance, for letting my fears cast longer shadows than my dreams. So I stand at the crossroads of regret and resolve with hands open, heart wide, saying, I'm sorry for not seeing the light in myself, for not shining it bright enough for others to find their way. But I aim to make amends, not with grand gestures or eloquent words, but to just live as though every interaction is a chance to leave kindness in my wake. So, my dear universe, here's my sorry, my thank you, my promise to love without reservation, to wield, I'm sorry, as but a tool for sculpting a tomorrow that outshines today. Let me whisper this prayer into the void, hoping to find an echo, a pledge to turn our wrongs into a roadmap for right, to turn our sorries into a symphony played on the strings of tomorrow. A song of hope, stepping towards healing, towards home. Sincerely, me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Pay Attention. That was amazing. I will introduce my guest here in a minute. But today we're going to talk about how kind of nature, not exactly nature versus nurture, but how what you're brought up with influences your life, where you go, and how you got to where you are. So I'm going to introduce my guest, Robby Cale. Thank you for that lovely, lovely poem. Can't wait to get into this. Robby and I met, probably a year ago now at an AFCA conference. And we had recorded once before, but as life, as the universe would have it, that recording didn't work, it didn't come through. So here we are again. And it seems the energy is so open-hearted and lovely. So Robby, welcome to the podcast. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are. Not quite get into your background yet, but what you do. What do you do for work besides that beautiful poetry?
Well, I provide mental health therapy, so I'm a psychotherapist, and I've been practicing Reiki for 20 years, so I do a lot of holistic work with that, but I help people kind of clear limiting beliefs and kind of get back to feeling more on track in their lives.
Which is exactly what we're trying to do here. And what I love about Robby's background is it really does show, it's a really beautiful example of living through your experience. I have a sister, Carol, and she's very Christian, which is lovely, right? And I said to her one day, I said, Carol, if you were born in a Muslim country with Muslim beliefs, do you think you would be Christian? And she had the wherewithal to say, you know what? Probably not. So, Robby, tell us about how you were brought up. You've got an amazing story about how you were brought up. I want to talk about that and then how that affected your journey.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, my parents gave up their lives to go become yogis in a yoga center, actually. So it's a long story, but a lot of those people thought they were going to be growing vegetables and meditating their whole lives. And when that center disbanded, a lot of them stuck together and were kind of a tribe of friends that I grew up with as kind of secondary family. And yeah, I was raised to meditate as a form of laser focused prayer work. And yeah, I'd say the rest is history. So,
so what would a day for a 5 or 6 year old Robby look like? You're meditating. Is it how would that differ from kind of, I don't know, growing up in an apartment in Brooklyn? I don't know.
Sure. That's a tough question to answer. Yeah. I mean, just raised with a lot of love. I mean, I'm sure there's also a lot of love in Brooklyn too. Yeah, we meditated together. They did a community homeschool for us. So we were homeschooled through all of that. I went to public school in high school, but as a kid at least. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they all had like 13 kids and we all grew up as kind of, quasi siblings and friends. And
so did you ever wonder while you were, I mean, when we're young, we don't really question, right? What our environment is. We trust our parents. We trust what's going on. But for you, that was normal, kind of everyday growing up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of people, of course, that everyone, those formative years are so important. And I imagine you can speak to this, that it's in those formative years that you can have, if you have that, the right kind of nurturing, it could be, life can be a lot easier. But a lot of people don't have that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing. I have a poem that we'll see I might share with you later that relates to this. There's a saying that says hurt people hurt people, and that can be true. But hurt people heal people too.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that, when we are there's an anecdote about an alcoholic dad with two sons, and the first son also drinks. And why do you drink? Well, my dad's an alcoholic, so I drink. And the other son never drinks. He's like, well, why do you never drink? Well, my dad's an alcoholic, so I don't drink,
Mhm.
And so there is some element of, having really difficult experiences at formative years can lead to a lot of difficulties and traumas and limiting beliefs. But there's also a point where we say, all right, I have more resources than the people that brought me here. What
Mhm.
do I choose to take and hold on to? And what do I choose to let go of that don't serve me? And, I have more resources than that. I know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of certain things that I would want to say the trauma stops here. I choose to move forward in telling a different story because I know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of certain things.
Right. Right. We can make those choices. And a lot of people, well, some people do make those choices. I imagine people who would be interested in a podcast like this would be making some of those choices because, yeah, the trauma, I've met people that, can find their way out of the trauma. I hit what is now being recognized as the quarter life crisis pretty damn hard and crawled my way out for over 20 years. And I was committed to it and I believed that it was possible. And then there's those people that can never find their way out and will always experience life through the filter of those experiences, a lot of which were negative, and that then they reinforce and build on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's why some people find their way and why others don't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a tough question to answer because there's a lot of moving parts to that. But I would also say that, you know, there's a concept of perceptions versus perspective, right? I think a lot of people can stay stuck in their perceptions and have difficulty seeing beyond the confines of their tunnel vision. That
Mhm.
is true, but I think that we can at least be open sometimes to begin to question and lean into the power that maybe, right? There's maybe more to the story
Yeah.
than the story I'm operating from here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. When I hit that rock bottom, I had to believe that there was something better. I had to. I made a vow to find that something better. And because I honestly think because of that belief, better started to show up, right? Your poem was about the universe, right? And all the light that we have that, we typically just cover up. And so I think that light is in everyone. And so it's not that some people are doomed, if you've had trouble and you can't get out, you're doomed, right? You
yeah.
have to put your mind, your very, very powerful mind, to finding that change, I'd say.
Yeah, and to that end, by the way, there's also a subtle art of quieting the mind and opening the heart, right? Of
Yeah.
like allowing yourself to
Yes,
practice showing
of
yourself
course.
patience and grace, even when
Yes,
we're not where we want to be.
of course there is. Yeah, the whole thing about my whole thing is about getting out of the chaos of the mind into the clarity of the open heart. And more recently, also, releasing the gut and whatever it's protecting there. And it's easy to say that, right? Live your life in an open heart. And it's, and not certainly growing up in a yogic community, you're going to understand that a lot more. And so it's really for those people that grew up in the Midwest or whatever, or whoever, East, West, wherever, that didn't have that kind of nurturing. It's
Yeah.
really about understanding where you're at in that chaos and slowly kind of working your way out of it until you can quiet that mind. You
Yeah.
can't ever find that journey down to the heart.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I start by, watching the mind. First of all, a lot of people operate on autopilot, right? But
Yeah.
understanding what's going on in there is really the first steps. When I
Yeah.
start, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just no, you're right. And I think a lot of it's about regulating your nervous system enough so that you can feel safe enough to go to those uncomfortable places where
Hmm.
we are willing to open the hood and look at the stuff under the surface that we feel initially might be perceived as dangers and unsafe to go to,
Yeah.
when the shadow self is just another part that wants to feel seen and loved and
Yes.
understood too.
That's right. Jungian shadow work is what you're referring to, and it's true. It's we're familiar with what keeps us safe, and a lot of time what keeps us safe is also what keeps us stuck. So it's willingness to be a little vulnerable and to trust,
Yeah.
and to start to open all of that up, to find that light coming through all of those beliefs and habits.
Yeah.
So you found so you grew up, and you had your regular high school, and then you found your way to social work. And where did this poetry come from? Is it just part of, built from this foundation that you had, or where did
Yeah.
this creative outlet come from?
Well, I've done a lot of community theater. I love performing. And I admit I've always felt like a fanboy to poetry, looking at it from the outside in.
Uh-huh.
And then just a couple of years ago, I attended a workshop with a really awesome performance poet named Black Chakra.
Uh-huh.
Jacob Mayberry, I'm probably mispronouncing his last name, but he goes by Black Chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And he was explaining, you don't have writer's block, you have prompt block and time block and dope block. And it just cleared something out in me. And then 20 years of pent up writing energy just kind of came flooding out. And yeah, it did kind of take over my life the last couple of years. So
Yeah, I like it. I mean, first of all, the poem. Let's go back to the poem that that we opened with, right? I'm sorry, universe, for not seeing. I mean, it really is. I mean, a lot of what we've spoken before. A lot of what your poems embody is that journey, right, out of the chaos of the mind and to the clarity of the open heart. So yeah, explain kind of what your writing is about, or what you're trying to get out of it, or what you're trying to explain with it, or if it's just a creative
yeah,
outlet.
that's a tough question, because I mean I have a lot of sci-fi poems and political poems too. I mean it kind of covers a wide gamut. Yeah, I mean I think, man, that's not an easy question to answer. I think a lot of it is just about waking up parts of myself that were dormant, and if someone else gets something out of it too, I think that the encouragement is there for us to all kind of wake up and have the claim the power that's within us. I mean, going back to when you talk about traumas,
Yeah.
so much of life is that, so much of the healing comes from just our reclaiming the reins of our life and reclaiming the
Yes.
narrative a bit, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
reclaiming the narrative. I love that. I love that. So in your social work, as a therapist, do you encourage people to write? Do they do a lot of journaling? And
yeah, I do. There's a concept, by the way, that's really helpful is if you relive a memory, like you're wanting to heal wounds without re-traumatizing yourself. So I have found it's helpful to, if you're writing about things where there's wounds, to place yourself on a balcony safely above it. Or if you don't feel safe, you just go as high up as above it as you need to until you feel safe,
uh
to write from a safe vantage point. But
okay.
yes, I think that a lot of it is speaking something as a means of moving energy that's trapped in the body
Mhm.
that can feel like trauma, and writing about it can help us also be positioned to be at the top of the mountain, being able to pull the next person up. In
Mm.
that, you
Mhm.
know, that,
Right.
that there's something there that, that there's a line from Neil Hilborn. He's a poet. He says, "It's not say you're not alone. It's say thank goodness you're not alone."
Yeah.
And that, our wounds can be a means of healing for other people, and there's healing in ourselves and helping other people heal as well.
I really love that because I'm an architect. I build hospitals and I K through 12 and historic preservation, and here I am talking about mindfulness for that very reason. That we you start out doing it for yourself, but you quickly realize that we're all in this together,
Yeah.
and this universal connection that we all have. We all, right, are on this human journey, which is tenuous at best. And although we try to hold on to it as best we can, when we come in completely open but vulnerable and exposed, we don't have our first thought for the first 6 months. And so, yeah, we start to identify with whatever we put our attention to. And so over time, it becomes those beliefs and habits that we then see through and reinforce. And yeah, it takes a choice to find your way out. Yeah. To know there is a way. I mean, there is a way out of all of that, right?
Yeah, and if you look at it through the lens of learning too, even the things that we perceive as places of stuck. I love the notion I heard once that it's like, think of it instead of like a wave where I'm in the pits of the trough, it's more like a rubber band that it's pulling me back, preparing me to like launch and propel me forward,
Yeah. A lot of times when you can see the trauma, when you can be aware of what happened to you, question it, as you said, questioning it, and then making your choice from there. A lot of those things did bring you to where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to your poetry. You said you've kind of been I don't know, not engulfed with it, but it's been a major part of your life for the last couple of years. And it's just, are you hoping to do more with it? You're writing, you're trying to get more
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit my own struggles of just finishing. I work a lot as a therapist, and that's kept me really busy. And then I got married, and so I've had some things that have helped me that's kept me a little busy but it's on me. It's overdue for me to kind of finish getting this stuff allowed to be good enough, and not just, well, I got to tweak it and add other poems, and just like actually get it out there and move forward with my next set of poems. So,
yeah. What do you think about the universe? Like when you're ready, right? When you're ready, it'll all come together. And there is a certain part to me, I think, that about trusting that flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, you sent me a lot of stuff, right? And it looked like a lot of good stuff, but just putting it in the right place, having the right people see it. I really trust. I find that whenever I stop pushing, things need to open up.
Yeah, it's a subtle thing, right? Like for us to show up but not force it, right? To tinker.
There you go.
And remember there's a great line by John Cleese of Monty Python fame. He says, what might it feel like to show up for the serious while leaving somber at the door? Has really stuck with me, of like staying playful and curious and tinkering. And you can do that with the heavy work that I might want to white knuckle the wheel and clench my teeth over,
Yeah. Showing up, what you said before, showing up
for the serious, which is everything in this context, while leaving somber at the door.
Yeah.
So breathing.
Yeah. And just being present for what comes. So here you are with an opportunity to share some of your beautiful work. We would love to hear another poem. Do you have one in particular you want to share?
So there's I want to keep it relevant to what we're talking about. So I will bring one up that relates to when we're talking about the two sons with the alcoholic dad. If we get to choose what our journey is going forward. So this is called Holding the Light.
Please do.
Some people walk into the world carrying the wreckage of something they hadn't demolished. Arms full of scrap metal memories, half-said stabs, names carved from others' maws. But instead of flinging it at strangers or building cages from bones, they sit down and say, I think I can build a lighthouse from this. And they do, and it works. It lights. There's a boy who never got tucked in right. So he became a man who shares bedtime stories with every child he meets. There's a girl who was told her voice was too loud. So she grew into a megaphone for every mouth still learning to shout. I've met folks who used to hide their own joy, folded it like a letter they were too scared to send. But now they gift out fragments of laughter, origami birds made of sun. There are people who were told they are too soft for this world. So they became the kind of softness that makes a landing possible, the kind you fall into and find yourself intact in their embrace. Some picked up the shards of what hurt them and made wind chimes. So when the breeze came back, it made music. Look, I don't know the names of every person who turned their own ache into someone else's shelter, but I know they exist. I've seen them. I've been held by them. I've tried to become one. Their hands carry the fire, but don't burn us with it. They warm us. They stay.
Becoming someone else's shelter. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you. I mean, right there is exactly what we just talked about. You all wrapped up perfectly in that poem. I love your work. I think it's really very, well, like you said, you have sci-fi poems and other things, so I appreciate you not bringing those here. But
Yeah.
I love the work around mindfulness and your journey and finding your way and being, first of all, being your own advocate, and then a shelter for someone else. So this episode is, not quite run like my typical episode, but I do ask my guests, if someone is listening to this and they're touched by it and they're moved by it, what is a message you'd like to send out to them? What is it start writing or
Gosh, yeah. I think that part of it is allowing, right? I think that part of this is allowing me to be at this exact point in my journey. And, that there's a safety in a bubble of curiosity that I want to lean into, right? That I think that, in our hurts and our fears, a lot of it is because the wounds stay open because we're chewing on how it shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't have had to deal with that. A lot of judgments and versus a curiosity of what do I need from this to move forward? What pieces of this no longer serve me that if I were to let go would help me easily and effortlessly return to the breath here, and that we're worthy and deserving of giving ourselves those pieces.
Robby, that is all that is beautiful and amazing, right? And instead of feeling the victim, it's what am I supposed to learn here? What can I take away from it? And I am worthy of joy. Beautiful, beautiful. Even your words are poetic. So if people want to find your poems, want to reach out to you, how do they do that? Where do they connect with you?
Yeah, I'm Robby Cale on Facebook. I'm if you look up health and wellness poems, I have some of my poems on YouTube. Is there a way that I can leave my contact information in a way?
I'll definitely leave it in the notes. And when this goes live, if you have more information, then you can share that then. But we will definitely leave your contact information in the notes.
And updates will come soon on the books that I'll be having put out on Amazon too.
Yes, so. I'm sure. So, if you have a short poem, we can leave with that. So I am going to say to everyone, this has been a lovely, my heart's been open the whole time. I love the poetry. I love your work. Thank you so much.
Sure.
For being here. Thank you everyone for listening and take it away.
No. Do you want to take the reins?
Yes. Oh, there I am. Oh my gosh, so much technical difficulty. We have had a hard time getting this on here. Maybe it's the timing of the universe. It's like, no, not quite yet. Then we had to re-record, but here we are. So, your words. When I'm interviewing you and when we're editing, I don't really have a chance to listen to your words. And so even though we had the technical difficulty that we did, it's so lovely to sit and just watch, what we talked about. And so much of what you say points back to that journey, to clarity and hope and everything. So how is your poetry going? Is it, I asked you this already in the recording, but I can imagine for you, it's been a real way to feed your soul and creative expression.
Yeah, totally. I think that um, I do a lot of work. I mean, you see these, I'm wearing these because I'm battling carpal tunnel because I'm typing so much because I see a lot of clients that it's been kind of a safe haven for me to go and
Mm-hmm.
revel in the colors, I guess you could say. And yeah, I mean, I kind of spoke to it earlier in the interview, but I hear a lot of struggles from people. And sometimes I think that um, writing about it has been helpful for other people. I found if you dig a little bit, we're actually a lot more on the same page with our struggles with each other than we realize. And
That's
so
true.
running
Yeah.
themes to tie everybody together.
Yeah, that's true. I have found that the journey across the bridge, oh my God, my hair is driving me nuts today. The journey across the bridge is it's the same untangling of the story we inherit to the one we choose. So yeah, it is. We're all human, and we have this human brain and human mind, and so that 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 journey to clarity is through that opening, and it does look different for everyone, of course. But so many of the pointers that I've seen on my journey, I'll point back to that.
Yeah.
So are your books up on Amazon? You're still working on that, or?
I have an illustrator. I've been waiting for them to finish that, and then
Uh-huh.
I'm moving forward. So
Great, an illustrator. That's great because when you sent me the stuff, it was all like in one big like Word doc, which you've got carpal tunnel from. So we're gonna finish this podcast, this episode, with a poem. But before we do, I have to ask you about that hat
yeah.
because if you go to his YouTube channel, he's wearing the hat in all the videos. And for the interview, he was wearing the hat, and I said, "Can you please take off the hat?" So what's up with the hat?
So full transparency, I have this pompadour Jufro situation, and I feel as a professional clinician, it's helpful to not look residentially challenged. Like if I want to look like the professional part, and combing in gel seems to it's out of control. But also like my wife made this for me, so I feel like it's sort of like a comfort hug of like you're gonna be all right. Like I feel like
Nice,
a bubble of
nice.
caring that I wear on my head. I don't
Oh,
know.
good for you. Good for you. I mean, we're all just being, like this is who I am. I love it. I love it. So sorry. I'm sorry I made you take your hat off in the interview. Which, by the way, I didn't think your hair looked that bad. I thought it looked fine.
Okay, yeah, we're always our own harshest critic, right?
Yes, we are. We absolutely are. So much harsher than things need to be. So you have you mentioned a short poem that we can end with called "Unsubscribe." Is that the
Yeah.
one you're going to do? All right.
Yes.
Well, don't unsubscribe from this podcast. But anyway,
Yeah.
Robby, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for your patience with the technical difficulty.
Yeah, of
And
course.
yeah, so we're going to leave you with this poem, but thank you, listeners. We'll be back next week with another world leader on lucid dreaming. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully, I will have my technology figured out by then. But Robby, thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, we're great. Well, it goes like this. I woke up with my name missing. Left it on a porch in the city next to the furniture and the email alerts, and those years being too loud on the inside. I sold everything, even the things I couldn't post on Craigslist. My guilt, urgency, that little noise my phone makes when someone wants too much of me. I walked until the skyline got amnesia. Found a forest, standing there like it had always been waiting for me to show up. I built a home out of the days I didn't think I'd survive. Laughter for nails, silence for windows. Slept beside trees that never asked me for a password. Named the stars after the people I used to be. Then a bird arrived, a note on its leg reading, "Hey, we've been trying to reach you regarding your car's extended." And I didn't finish the rest because I started snickering to no one, to everyone, to the old version of me who used to panic when texts went unanswered. But out here, Even the absurd feels holy. So I fed the bird a piece of granola, tied a ribbon to its foot, wished it well on its return flight to wherever God keeps cubicles. My reply read, "Tell them I'm not coming back. Tell them that warranty expired with the name I left behind. I hope forgetting remembers me."
Thanks for watching Pay Attention with Holly McNeill. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern.